Hello again, back on the Escort, and before we start this one, I just want to say I'm not criticising anything in this car. This car is a really good car. It's had really good success. It's tried and tested. It's been a rally car for, I think, about 20 years, probably more. And in that time, it's done really well. It's been very reliable. It's just been a good car. And I know the person who built it. I know the person who owned it after that. I know the person who he sold it to. And yeah, I know the car very well. So I'm thinking of it as if I sold my E30 and someone put a video up saying, I'm taking this out, I'm changing that, I'm doing this, I'd think, well, why? That works. I've done it, it's tried and tested. Yeah, I wouldn't really get upset because once I sold a car, I sold a car. But this car is a good car. It's just that I'm changing a few things that I'd prefer for me. I'm not changing it because I think there's something wrong with it. And the cage that I removed, I said I'd rather, cut it out and do it myself. There was heavy welds in places. There's nothing wrong with the welds whatsoever. I've cut them open just to have a look and see what the penetration's like and how they go. They are very, very solid welds. In fact, getting it out was a nightmare because I ended up cutting the bar rather than trying to cut through the weld. So I'm not in any way slagging this car off. I love this car. I always have done. It's a really nice car. I was really keen to buy it when I knew it was up for sale. So I was probably a bit anxious. I've spent a lot of money and it's an old car. I was expecting find, rust and just damage, but it's not. It's a good car. It's a good solid car. I'm really pleased with it. I'm just making it a bit more compliant with the ever-changing regulations that you get. And now Cat 2's come out, it's changed lots of different things, as in the cage and what have you. So I'm just doing a few bits and pieces to make it as I want it and conform as it should do. There was nothing wrong with it before, and I love the car, and the more I fiddle about with it, the more I enjoy it. I can't wait to use it. We've got a rally coming up in a few weeks. I'm not going to be able to do the hill climb. I haven't got a cage. So the first shakedown will be a rally, but it's more of a hill climb than a rally. So yeah, just wanted to get that straight. Not that anyone said anything or moaned or anything. I was just thinking if it was from my point of view and someone was doing videos about the BMW, I might get miffed. I don't know. It's certain things you evolve from owning a car and you progress and make them better. And then if someone else buys it and takes it out and goes back to as it was, you probably think, I don't understand why they've done it. But, it's how I want the car. It's everyone's personal choice. Hello again. I don't know where we got up to with if I did a video about this before. I think we did, I'm not sure. Putting the cage in. Well, start to put the cage in. I've decided I can do all the back bits. That's not a problem. I can get all them in. They're all straight cuts and notch it around the tube. But what I've got to do first is clean the tube up where I've cut the back stays off. I've got to clean that up, and I've got to chop the brackets, what's left of that bracket, off both sides. So I think that's my next job. Get it out, clean it up, get it in place. Then I can weld tubes on the side to locate to the bolts. So that'll be my starting point of where the cage needs to be. Start from the main hoop and then cut the rear stays. So here we go. Right, I've chopped all the ends off and given it a bit of a clean up. There's still lots of, it's like thick tape, which has probably been there for a long time. There's still a bit of weld stuck on there, but I've got to weld the other stays into it. I don't want to take any of the cage off, so I'm trying to take as little as possible. If I've got a lump still in there, I've got a weld. That's where the bolt's going through. So I think that'll be my next job. Get some tube and weld some bits on there. Alright, so I've cleaned up a bit of the roll cage. I've got some tube, put a Allen head bolt into the recessed bolt that was already in the B pillar. I'm going to leave it as it is, and there's one that side and one that side. Same at the top there. I've just got a screwdriver in, wedging it over a bit, make it a bit more symmetrical. So now I'm going to put the rear diagonals, no, it's not rear diagonal, the rear stays, to locate in this area and go, yeah, right where that bolt is. It's not ideal. I might just go slightly below it. It's got to be 100mm from the top, so I'll measure that and see if it fits in. The other ones were down here somewhere, which is way too low, but I've got to do it right. Right, I've got to scribe the top joint for the to go against the hoop, and we've got to be minimum of 30 degrees off the vertical. So we're 50 degrees off the horizontal, which makes it 40 degrees off the vertical. I've got a bit of play, I can go up and down, but that's 40 degrees is ample. Yeah, I've got to get this all in first, scribed and tight, ready for welding, and then I can mark where the hole is at the back. And I'll tack here. I'll do it all first. I'll tack the diagonal in as well before I do that, but I should be able to mirror that to go on the other side. Right, that's the backstay notched, and it's where the hole is on either side. So I'll just leave it like that for the time being. Get the other side sorted out, and then get the diagonal in. But that's quite a technical notch. That you'd never do that with a drill. If you were to drill the scallops on the cage, that's on the middle of a bend. Yeah, that's more of a scribe than a drill joint. Right, so I've got to try and copy that the other side. That's my 100mm mark that it can't go below, which I'm all right. It's 40 degrees. It's lined up with the hole. That's a good one. Right, that's the second rear stay fitted. It's yeah, it's quite a job getting the scribe around there. It's the cage has got to be symmetrical according to the blue book. So I copied the that side's copied off that side. So we've got same height, same place, same angle. That's 40 degrees as well. So now I've got to mark and drill out the holes for the rear. I brought some more steel tube to go to weld into the rear stay. Once that's in, I can tack the top and then put the diagonal in. That's the rear holes marked. For the bolt to go through. They're this side's slightly lower than that side because the bar is at an angle as it comes out. But this is the scallop, the scribe for the top joints. So it would have been, you wouldn't have been able to do that with a core drill. All those different angles on it. I suppose you could have got most of the way there and then trimmed it up, but I'm a carpenter, so that's what I do for a job, scribing. Right, let's get these drilled. Well, that is the spacer tube welded inside the bar for the rear stay. And I can get them in place. That one's already done. Right, that's the diagonal notched. That probably would have been easier to do with a core cutter, tube notcher. But yeah, I've got that. It's got to be 100mm, less than 100mm from the top corner, which is where it is, and less than 100mm from the joining point at the bottom. I couldn't get much lower than that anyway. Right, so I don't know, I think I might have to tack this first. Make sure it stays in place because this is all propped and wedged and cantilevered. I might prop it and then, tack it and then mark up for the harness bar, which I can fit. I'll probably best tack that in here as well. It's all tacked now to be held in place. So I've got the laser level, so I'll spark that up. I think that's the line I'm going to use for the harness bar, but I just want to confirm that it's very important the harness bar isn't above the height of your shoulders where the harness starts from. It's either got to be dropping down or horizontal. So I want to do it so it drops down a bit, just to be a bit safe in case I may move the seat. So if I move it like 50mm down, yeah, we should be quite safe there. That's all, everything in the back now, all tacked. I've got to pull it out to fully weld it, but I'm not doing that until I've got the front lateral bars in, which are bent. So I just need to cut them and make a boxing for the floor for them to sit on. And then I can pull it all out, fully weld it, paint it, prime it, paint it, and then fit it, and that's it then. Right, we're putting the front leg in. Nothing's tacked or fixed at the moment, and it's a bit of a compromise really. It would have been the original one. You can see the 3 bolt holes further forward. As it came down here, it had a secondary bend, which it's not allowed. I mean, that cage was 20 years old, and maybe, presumably it used to be allowed, but not anymore. So that's as far forward as I can get the front leg. It's got to be further forwards at the bottom than it is at the top. That's got to be the furthest most forward part of the main cage. It's quite tight, hugs the pillar, but it looks like it sort of sticks up at the back. There's not a lot I can do about that. If I bring it down, it's gonna, well, I can't go any further forward on this point here. I couldn't make this bend any less to get it further forward because I've got the dash in the way. Without bringing this further down, then it's sort of encroaching on your space then, and it's away from the A-pillar. So it just looks a bit weird. I don't know if I can get back far enough for... Mind if that went up. From the outside, I've got to be so careful because if that falls off, it's probably going to go into the battery. Let's see if I can get out. Yeah, from the outside, there's no way I could ball it any further forward than that. It's tight everywhere, and it doesn't look too bad. It looks like parallel on the outside. I'm sort of restricted with the bend on the cage as well. Because if you go up, it goes in, so it's taking more space away. I mean, we've got about 10mm here, and the only way I could get it closer is to bring it further down, and then it's going to be harder to get in. I think that's it. I think that's where we're going to leave it there. And I'm just going to make a boxing to go on the bottom, and then door bars. Now, I've just been told by msuk you aren't allowed bends in door bars, which is weird because both my other cars have got bends in the door bars. Apparently, if it's homologated, it's all right, but this is news to me, and I think this is going to cause a few ruptions. So my options are, with these brackets, they only work if it's at 90 degrees. You can only keep them straight at 90 degrees. If it's coming, that's got a slight angle further forward, so you can imagine it's at an angle anyway. So yeah, it's not going to work. I'll get one out and try it. Yeah, I've just had the the tube in it, and you could probably get it horizontal. There's a bit of give in it, but that means the door bar's going to be up here somewhere. Getting in, it's going to be very difficult. So yeah. I think what I might do is I've got hill climb next week, so I need to get this finished ready. I might just weld it in and then buy some slip tube, 50mm. And once I've got the door bar in a straight piece, I'll just cut it and put the slip tube over it and bolt it through. And that way I can take the slip tube off, unbolt the front leg. If I need to get the front part out, unbolt the top. Or I could put 2 slip tubes on it. I don't really want to put too much stuff in it. Yeah, that might be an option. I'll have to see if I've got any. I did have some slip tube. I'll have a look. 50mm seems to work because its inside diameter's 45. Right, I'm having to stop work on the Escort as there's a few issues with the cage. Apparently, I've never heard this before, you're not allowed to have bends in the door bars, which most cages I've seen have got bends in the door bars. You can have them if your roll cage is homologated, but safety devices, they supply lots of cages that aren't homologated and they have bends in the door bars. I just don't understand. They're saying because they're in the blue book with drawings of straight lines, then that's how they have to be on the car. So I don't know if someone's got this wrong, or if all cars are going to have to be compliant with this, which is, you know, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people. And then when you look at the drawings, the roof bar is straight in the MSA drawings, and you know, if they were straight on the car, you wouldn't see much out the windscreen. It'd be a hazard because it'd be too low and the first thing you'd hit if you had an accident. So, you know, I've just had to email them and ask for confirmation, as also they're saying you can't use demountable joints to join the lateral part of the cage to the main part of the cage, which is the bit I'm fitting at the moment, which most cages you see that are bolt-in have got joints to join to the main roll cage. They're saying it can be jointed, but not by any joint in section K, and I don't see what other joints can be used apart from welded. I mean, I could weld it in. I don't really want to though. I've been thinking about just buying a homologated cage and bolting that in, but I've gone so far now doing this cage. It's a bit frustrating, but hopefully we'll get some daylight onto this and they'll come back to me and let me know exactly what they want, so I'll know what to do. So plan B is the poor little BM. Look at it, it's been used as storage since the last rally it did, which was beginning of March. We're now June. It got parked in here and I've not even taken the numbers off. Yeah, but it was fine, and there was no problems with it when I was using it. So all I need to do is put fuel in it and just give it a once over and make sure everything's okay. It's I do love this car, but I'm just frustrated because I want to use the Escort, and I've had it for a good few months now, and I haven't driven it over 40, and we've got hill climbs this weekend, which would be a good opportunity to give it a shakedown. Right, so at least lucky I've got plan B. Oh yeah, these have got bends in the door bars. It's just bent slightly because otherwise these joints don't work, and they have these joints at the top. You might see better that side, it's a bit dark in here, which is what it says in the blue book. You can't have a bend in the top bar. I mean, this cage is homologated, so it's okay. It can be made of plastic if they want. MSA's agreed that it's okay, so yeah, gutting. But what I'll do is I'll cut this video short here. I'll put some pictures in of the wording from the Blue Book, and yeah, I don't know if I've just read it wrong or if it's one of those things that someone new starting and they're reading it and they're reading it literally, straight lines. I mean, I can't draw every type of bend and different cage that is available. So yeah, till next time.